recent. I've put the date in there, so therefore if people are watching later on, they'll understand the time frame of what this is happening in. It's less than 72 hours since this incident happened, and I'm hopefully going to catch you up to what's happened so far, as well as it'll give you some food for thought when we go to the pub later to kind of chat about it. So, what is the incident I'm talking about? There is, on Sunday, during the Apex Legends Global Series, North American Region Finals, 2 players exhibited behaviour indicative of hacking. And as I mentioned, this talk's going to go over that incident, and then we're then going to talk about how that incident has grown since then, and see where we are as it currently stands on 72 hours after the event. That's the wrong slide. Prerequisite knowledge. So hopefully people know what Apex Legends is, but I'm aware that some people might not. It is a first-person, hero-based shooter, into some 3-person battle royale. There are 60 people in the game. You all fight, the rings close, Hunger Games kind of stuff, or if you're old like me, the actual original battle royale Japanese movie. And then it's rounds in. There's a team that wins, a team of 3 people. It was released in 2019. It used a very modified version of Source Engine, so the same engine that obviously CSGO used to run in, not Source 2, an original Source, and this actually has some bearing later on in this talk. Additionally, it surpassed 2 billion in revenue produced in 2023. So in 4 years, it's produced about 300 million a year, but growing up that, it's probably now closer to 3, if not 4 billion in revenue. So it earns quite a lot of money and sits usually in that top 10 of the Steam charts when it comes to it. But this is focusing on the competitive scene of Apex. The Apex Legends Global Series is that kind of equivalent to LCS or CSGO if you watch that. It is the pinnacle of that overall e-sport in the game. It is a regionalised league, and it goes across different regions. So you've got North America, you've got EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East and Asia and Africa. Then you've got APAC North, so that's like Japan and Korea. You have APAC South, which is Thailand, Indonesia and Australia and New Zealand. So these 4 regions, as well as some challenger regions like South America and China, all compete over a kind of couple of weeks, and then that ends up getting qualifying for international lands, bearing on point of discussion later. What makes Apex unique as an esport is the fact that there is a transparency to it. So this bottom image here, you will see what looks like an absolute clusterfuck, but that is actually a person watching 9 point of views at the same time, because a lot of the streamers or the players will stream their own point of view while they're playing in these tournaments. So you'll get insight into what the team is doing, the communications between the team that you wouldn't get if you just watched the main broadcast. You might get listens in, but you won't get the full thing including all the downtime. And that kind of transparency plays into what we're going to talk about later. Additionally, Apex has a really interesting thing called match point finals. You have to get 50 points in the game. You get points for killing people or lasting longer. Once you hit 50 points, you then have to win a game. So you have to be that team last standing to then qualify or to win the actual overall series. This only happens very rarely, but it creates quite a lot of hype, and it's kind of a very unique selling point to the game and creates a lot of excitement. So that is the competitive scene. And then a personal note, why it's of interest to me, competitive Apex is pretty much my obsession at the moment and has been since about 2022. I on average watch about 20 hours of this a week, which on top of a 30-hour or 40-hour week working, it's quite a lot. Sometimes I watch while working, but don't tell Natalie. When you wake up in the morning, you usually get the Australian scrims. You watch them. When I come home from work, I get the European scrims, and then when I'm staying up at late night, the American scrims start at like 11 o'clock at night, and then they finish at like 2 o'clock in the morning, which is my bedtime. So usually I watch quite a lot of them, if not every day of the week, most days of the week, which is a lot on top of the actual official games that happen at the end. I've attended 2 of the international LANs. Luckily, because of kind of visa requirements, they all put them all in the UK for 1 year, and the team that I support qualified for 2. So this is me, the bottom one with the beer is me in London at the Copper Box, and at the top is me at Birmingham in the conference centre watching it there.
What team do you support?
We'll get onto that in a second. I was watching live when this incident happened and was watching the point of view in which it happened as well. So it was quite interesting being at kind of ground zero where it happened. But before we get on to the kind of main parts of it, hacking in Apex is very common. Within the first year of it, was around about 1 million people were banned for hacking. It's round about probably the same number, if not more, each year since. It has been the victim of hacktivism before. So there was a time where Titanfall was not getting much support, so people hacked the game to save Titanfall.com. They share a lot of similarities, if you're not aware of that. And that kind of stuff has happened before, as well as it has been prevalent in kind of those higher end ranked sessions, but not in the pro scene overall, especially in professional players that get paid a wage by teams. It mostly happens in that kind of tier 2 circuit, not the tier 1 international LAN kind of point of view. But as you can see, some of the players have some quite draconian ideas of how to prosecute all the cheaters. Press the button again. So let's talk about the incident overall. This happened in the North American region, which is the most popular, the most watched. It is the strongest overall region. If you're into esports, that's quite uncommon. North America is usually kind of weak, if not one of the weakest. But in the UK, or in Apex, is actually the best region, including, well, if that means if you count the Australian teams that moved over to play in America as well, because that's where the competition is. It was also, for this split, so this kind of league season, it was the last game of the season before the big event in LA in the start of May. So it was the last one. And again, if it's happening in LA, then all the players in North America should usually get visas quite easily to get there. That'll come into a point later on. And this was played under that match point format, so really this was the kind of pinnacle of the season before we get to this big international LAN. This was all eyes were on this event, which is when the incident happened. But before they get there, I'm going to bore you by talking about the actual games that happened before the incident. So Apex plays out as per usual. There is 20 teams, all 3 pieces. And you'll get a kind of end zone that looks very reminiscent of this. I've lost the mouse, so it's not great, but.
Wait until top's not in and you get the armor
There
swap
you go.
out.
Again, if you can't see it, then turn around, watch it.
I'm left.
This is the end of the game, first game.
132 on the race is the wing in. Nice.
Pop
The
the
back.
back. Go to me, man. We just win the game here. They have to fight one another. Just crouch
Play
and
anything now.
Yeah. And then just watch the fucking zip up.
Yep.
Make sure that we don't get ran on.
Look over.
Nice.
Nice. Above on low. In the top shield. Nice push. Grab closing. Nice! Let's go, baby!
The audio system can't keep a hold of it. They're quite anti-dramatic as they actually never killed anybody in that end zone. But yes, Complexity took the win with 12 points and 7 kills, which means overall they've got 19 points. So they're well on the way to hit that 50-point threshold to win. There was about 25 grand or maybe 50 grand of prize wins on for this game as well. So people who could qualify for LAN already were quite wanting to earn that money, obviously. And my team, to answer your question, Optic managed to wrap, so they get 5 placement points and 1 kill, 6 points overall, which is not bad because they lost 2 other players very early, so it was just one guy surviving to the end. Game 2, again, we'll watch another clip.
There's a team on the left!
In the open!
I was hit main!
Fly down the open, not towards us! He's stunned here! Punish me! Dead!
He's dead!
Over here,
There's a bang here, there's a bang here.
Guy here, another blind, 50.
Cracked.
He's low.
He's one. I'm batting.
One HP, dead.
Nice.
Every kill.
Batting.
I don't bang up, we have no ulting.
Last two teams.
Yes, hey, we have like no ults. We win the game free though. Where's the right team? They've low them, he's dying. I'm stealing kill. Shoot, he jumped on him, to kill the guy who dropped.
Yeah. The other one jumped too, I cracked him.
I'm taking for a kill.
30 flash. I'm nading it. Batting.
Another kill him. 100.
Yep. I'm pushing up.
One HP caustic. Re-knock, one HP caustic.
Last guy.
Let's go.
What do you mean?
That was so free, bro. Let's fucking go.
Winning in 4.
That is Dark Zero, who up until recently were probably the best team in the world. They didn't do well in the last LAN, but they pretty much ran away with the lead in this online circuit this year. As you can see, the team at iSport Optic, they came in second, had a pretty good game, but the team above them, Dark Zero, they got 12 points for placement points and 11 kills, means they had overall 23 points, which means they're now halfway, if they had no points in the previous game, to get match points. So it was very close. But you can see here that obviously, in this point of view, you can see the guy's camera, you can hear all the communications. This is everything that Apex kind of does when it comes to that transparency. You can have a team and watch their own perspective of the games, so you're not actually watching that main feed. It's kind of like imagine watching football, but actually just seeing through like a body cam on Ronaldo, rather than watching the overall match, which can be quite interesting. And it is quite interesting in Apex because they require that the players, when they're playing these types of games, have a 10-minute delay. So you have to put a 10-minute delay on your stream, so therefore you can't then pull up someone else's stream and work out where they are, and stuff like that. But that also has bearing on the instant that happened, which happened in game 3. But I did mention that there's this LAN, and I want to put this point in because it's quite, it plays into the business aspect that we're going into later. Depending on how well teams done in this series that we're playing, they would potentially qualify for this LAN, which then would earn them more money. There was a live, obviously, leaderboard on the left-hand side here, and you can see that Dark Zero were up ahead at 29 points, and then Optic Gaming were in 23 points in second, and you can see that this would then impact the overall live leaderboard, which was someone made this on Excel, and it doesn't actually look like this. But you can see the ones in greens would get to go, the ones in reds would not. And Optic just squeaked in by 3 points over Space Station Gaming. So there's quite a lot on the line, even in each and every game. So even if you don't win the game, you've got something to play for these top 12 places overall. And that's when we get on to the instant that happened. So I'm just going to play this clip fully. If you can't see it, make sure you can, because this is the important one.
Team Nuts still there? Or Team Bridge? He's in the corner still. I killed one! Here! But I killed one here! What, blue? Like blue here, on my ping. I knocked him there. Wait, what the fuck? I'm getting hacked, Bro, I'm getting hacked.
I know, but can you play?
Yeah, but it's cheating. The fuck? Like what?
No, but is it fucking up your game?
Yes, I can see everyone. Like,
You need to leave.
I didn't leave the game, right? Yeah, I'm leaving. Like, what the fuck?
Nick, admins now.
But, I left.
Admins now.
So that is the Dark Zero, the team that just won the last game. One of the players, Jen Button, was hacked during the game. And we can take a look at some of the evidence that's in the clip here, if I can get it to work with me. Nope, it doesn't want to work with me. So I'll just pause it now. Pause it when it happens. So, if you've seen, there was obviously the wireframes of all the other players in the game. You got to see a little bit of their health bar, as well as there was also a prompt that came up when they were talking. So that you can see here. So there's a couple of things that I want to point out. One, this menu, which says TSM Halal Hook. There's a couple of things in this menu that are quite interesting. FOV, for example, which is 180. That's obviously not the FOV if he's playing the game. It's around about 110, 106. So that's likely the FOV of the actual hacks and the logic of the hack itself. You could add on aimbot, you could add on infinite health, you could put target lock on, compensation, and there's a last one in there which says vote putting, and it's ticked as well. In the side on the chat, you'll see that it says Apex Hacking Global Series by Destroyer 2009 and R4 Random, or random spelled with a 4 rather than A. Additionally, you can see the top left, there's a warning sign up here that says warning, streamer mode disabled, menu key insert. And these are all things, artifacts that were on his stream while he was streaming. And obviously the reaction of leaving the game and what the fuck was going on was part of his understanding, never seen this before. There's some interesting things when it comes to obviously being able to type in the chat. When you type on a keyboard, because he plays on controller, you can see L2, R1 down there, or L2, R2 for his ultimate. So he's playing a controller. If you switch inputs, it will switch the prompts on the screen as well. So the fact it never switched over to show that maybe he was typing or anything like that shows that he wasn't the one actually inputting any of these inputs to type in the chat. So that happened in game 3. He quit the game, as you've seen. And obviously there was a 10-minute stream delay. So this gave 10 minutes of, once the game played out, the game finished, Luminosity Gaming went on to win, Dark Zero as a duo went on to win, or came second as two of them. They're pretty good. And obviously there was 10 minutes in which the pros, the admins, the tournament organisers knew what happened, and the actual social media and public didn't. But in those 10 minutes, word got out obviously, so then people were all watching certain streams to see this happen in real life. It was pretty crazy when it all happened, because you can see everybody's doing these watch parties, you get to see everybody's communications. You're probably watching Dark Zero anyway because they're really good. And Jen Burton is one of the biggest streamers on Twitch when it comes to competitive Apex, at least. So people were definitely watching the stream. And then this is when everybody then started tweeting about it, talking about it. Obviously Jen pleaded his innocence, was like, it was not me, so he starts returning his computer, but to make sure the games can go on and continue, they sub out Jen Burton for a guy called Jenk, who is their sub. Very confusing names. I might then change them about by accident, but Jen Burton subbed out for Jet. And we continue with game 4, in which another instant happens.
Pushing, come take the building, take the building.
Come in. Okay.
Can we shoot height?
Yeah, shoot now.
I'm cheating. I'm fucking shit. I got aimbot. I have aimbot.
You gotta leave the game, bro.
Back up,
leave
bro.
the game.
The door's blocked. Take it, break it.
I have aimbot right now. I literally have aimbot.
Leave the game.
What if I just don't shoot? We gotta get to another building. Can we get to another building? Smoke that off.
Soaking them.
Hey, blue. 40 on 1. Crossing down. Crossing.
So, Raven, tell them I have aimbot right now.
That's him talking to his coach, who can't talk to them. So that was the first part of the clip. I want to replay it because if you didn't notice it,
Come in.
Can we shoot?
so he's taking a look at this team on the bridge,
Shoot height?
and you can see that there's a guy he's aiming at. Nice aim assist because he's got controller. And there's also the two teammates of this person down here. When I click play, you will notice that there's a number pops up because he hits this person, as well as a number down here. The gun that he's using is a round burst, so parts of that bullets that he's shooting is getting split between his original target as well as the target that's under the bridge. So quite hard to see, but if you just quickly, you'll notice the numbers on the kind of underneath his webcam.
Yeah, shoot now.
And you can see there, and that's where he noticed it. This continues for a wee bit. He is quite a bit anxious about just leaving. TSM, the team he plays for, were a bit on the ropes. They had about 90% chance of qualifying, but they needed a good day because you get winnings and stuff like that. So if they did well, they get more money, but it also means they officially qualified for LAN. They wanted to make sure they did not miss out. as they were the team that won the championships in Birmingham last year. So they keep on playing, even though his teammates tell him to leave. And this is the end clip.
I got a song. Why are we playing this game out so?
You still aim about it?
It keeps going on and off. It keeps going on and off. It keeps literally going on and off.
Check for Moby, check for Moby.
I have a movie, I have one. Can I call it on
Destroyer, please, you stupid motherfucker, leave me alone, man. You should be able to do it right here. They stopped it.
Holy. They called
Balcony?
in comparison, so the end of the game there, the admin's end of the game, which happens sometimes from lag or when there's an incident happens or unsportsmanlike conduct or something like that. They do end the games quite often, usually because of server lag and issues with that. But ending the game meant they're kind of back down to square one. They have to work out what's happening to Hal. Is it the same as what happened to Jen Burton? If we look obviously at the clip originally, you would have seen that there was no mention in chat this time. It was all kind of incognito, much more subtle, which was a bit more alarming. If these two players were not probably well held in renown, they had actual LAN experience, they could have picked on someone who maybe wasn't streaming, and that person might not have been able to then say or disprove that they actually were not cheating and they were hacked by someone from an outside source. So what happens after this game 4? Well, there's a lengthy delay in which obviously Twitter, social media, Reddit all goes bananas to try and work out what's happening. And eventually the Play Apex Esports Twitter mentions that due to the competitive directory of the series being compromised, we've made the decision to postpone the NA finals at this time. We will share more information soon. And that's what happens. So they've postponed. This happened about just before 2 AM in the morning our time. And only 4 games into a series that often takes 10 or 12 games. So it was a bit premature, but with the 2 instances, very high profile incidents, they took the choice to postpone. So what happens now? Well, there's 3 main topics of discussion we'll go over. The technical aspect, the esports aspect, as well as the public aspect of it all. Additionally, you could also add ethics in there a wee bit, but what I kind of want to mention is that the esports aspect is very transferable over to the kind of business case aspect. Well, it's not like a business and getting it back on its feet, it is about talking about getting the players back on their feet and actually continuing with the league and the integrity of the league, which might be a bit more digestible than talking about making sure a business can start. So the immediate technical fallout is that some people thought that the players were always cheating. This was quickly disproven because of the players' previous achievements. They both won international events, which they have admins sitting behind you to actually watch your screen. Also, there's millions of people watching. So that was quickly disproven, although people on social media like to kind of poke and say that maybe they were always doing it. I thought personally, and as well as some other people, that there was a watering hole attack in the sense that there was a popular mod that pros would use to warm up, which does 1v1, it's called R5 Reloaded. In this 1v1 mod, you have to download it kind of side, it's not obviously from the developers itself. And I thought that would be a pretty good kind of watering hole attack, because these players would probably have played that mod before, and therefore then they could compromise their computers by downloading the mod from an untrusted source, and then activate them that way. They're a very good way to get very high profile people, VIPs, and be able to get into their systems by then downloading something thinking it was legit. Additionally, there could have been disgruntled former employees. With the way the games industry is going, it's no surprise that Respawn, people who make Apex, announced 25 redundancies that week. As in the start of that week, they announced 25 redundancies. That Sunday, the incident happens. Could it be a disgruntled employee wasn't happy with their payout and then wanted to take action against us? Or was it simply that phishing was involved and they were phished and the hacker then took advantage of this at a very opportune time? Potentially. When it comes to the esports fallout, there was a discussion on the legitimacy of the results. Do you keep all 3 games? Because obviously the 4th game was cancelled halfway through, doesn't count. Do you keep the 2 games in which there was no instance, or at least no suspected instance? Or do you just start afresh again, which may disadvantage those teams that done really well the first 2 games, or advantage those who were doing really poorly the first couple of games? My team that I support would much likely want that the first 2 games were to stand, while other teams who are doing poorly might not want to. There's obviously a bias apart of that. There was a discussion on how the postponed games should be held. They were not aware of how these could be ran in a way that's going to be safe for all the competitors. Do you do it off stream, almost like a behind closed doors football game, and then broadcast it later to make sure there's nobody's able to know when they're happening? However, if you were to see the 60 players all appear offline, no tweets, no Steam ID information, they're all away offline, then you can probably put something together that they maybe are online and they are playing. You could hold it offline at LAN, so you could invite them all to the LAN event that's happening and hold it the night before. Call it a bonus. If you buy a ticket, you get an extra night to come. However, Apex LANs aren't actually on LAN, they're at the nearest data centre, so therefore you're still using the servers that you would actually be using online public anyway. So the LAN only gives you everybody's got the same low ping. So it really doesn't solve that problem of there being no hacker, no access. Or do you wait till a patch is released? But if you wait till a patch is released, then players who require a visa, potentially teams from Mexico, teams from Canada, or the Australian teams who come across, they need to get a visa to them earn the money or get their winnings if they win at LAN. So you couldn't hold that off, or else they would not get their visa, which would be unfair on them. When it comes to the public fallout, there was a lot of panic ensuing about this. This is the first time, at least I know, that there has been a very high-profile hacking incident that is not like a player running Word.exe off of a USB. This is much more an outside cause on an esports event, which meant everybody was at panic stations across all the big esports. People were saying, is playing Apex safe? Question mark. If you go into any Twitch chat, that's still the question people are asking 72 hours later. Some people were saying uninstall it. Uninstall not just Apex, but any game that has easy anti-cheat, because people believe that maybe there was a remote code execution and easy anti-cheat. Again, the mod that we talked about earlier, people were saying uninstall that, because that potentially is what the hacker was using to get access to systems. And unfortunately, there was also the abuse hurled at all possible parties. EA, they're prone to this, they do get a lot of abuse, some warranted. But people with easy anti-cheat as well as Respawn, and even the specific employees who deal with anti-cheat at Respawn were getting singled out and kind of made get a lot of abuse online. So not great, especially when we talk about that kind of understanding the security incident, make sure everybody's aware and that kind of being a bit more appeased to it all. What did come of it though was also superb memes. As you can imagine, this one of Drake being on the team is a very common one, but they just changed it to be on Dark Zero. And then we've also got the one of Jen with his hand up. Obviously, he's playing with a controller, he's trying to prove it wasn't him, which is quite funny, but then, yeah, so there's a good couple of ones. There was another one, the Gent guy who got subbed in for Gent Burton. He obviously played only like half of a game, in which he shot one person and uploaded a montage where all he is shooting this one person, which is a pretty good montage to be honest. There is also the idea of this Destroyer 2009 person. So you heard it mentioned in the HAL clip and you've seen it on the text. This Destroyer 2009 guy is a known quantity. He's been a hacker in Apex for a good couple of months and has had run-ins with the people that we were talking about before. Previous incidents include obviously him just hacking in games, but also there was this one down here in which he stream sniped Hal and put a bunch of zombies in his game, so the game was filled up with other players that were not legit, and all they did was run at him, so it was actually like playing Call of Duty Zombies. And they were all kind of automated bots, it was not a person, and they all had his name as their kind of thing, and he confirmed it was him. There's also this video at the top in which he talks to Mandy while he is cheating, stream sniped him as well, to get access to his ranked game, and was sitting cheating through that, and they were talking back and forth. In that kind of back and forth discussion, they did mention that he's been coding for 4 years. It might be limited English, but he was mentioning that he was doing this as a hobby alongside work and whatnot for 4 years. Supposedly 18-year-old, along with other things he's done, which includes gifting the loot boxes. A loot box in Apex costs about £1,000, or not £1,000, but £1 per box. To get a good thing, it costs £1,000. But £1 per box, he gave each player, including Mandy, Jen Burton, and TSM Hal, probably around about 2,000 each. Now, how he got hands on these was either he has access to the system and can actually just gift these boxes, or else he's getting credit card details online and doing it for that way. Wouldn't surprise me either way. So what happened next? So here's a timeline. So it was postponed, again in GMT, at 10 till 1. News about the suspected RCE exploit and easy anti-cheat goes viral on Twitter around about 1:15. The hacker himself comes out and says it was a RCE, doesn't confirm what product is in, if it's easy anti-cheat or in the source engine. Around about an hour later, then the mod, the R5 Reloaded, releases it at, I think, 2:45, saying it's not us, don't worry, don't uninstall our game, we don't want to lose our player base. Pilot Software, who's a content creator, he used to be offensive security at Blizzard, he released a video in which he talks to Mandy, who we mentioned earlier, the player, as well as looks at the incident and goes through it and kind of theorises how it could all happen. Easy anti-cheat, less than, what that would be like 14 hours later, they released a tweet, their first tweet in 5 years. They got very early in on the no Elon Musk Twitter trend. They were a trendsetter back in the day, and they finally broke that trend to come in and say, 5 years later, there is no RCE that they know in their product that is being actively exploited. So what are the theories coming out of this? Well, specific players were phished. Because the players had previous interactions with this Destroyer 2009, did they potentially get phished when they accepted the gifts? However, if I'm aware, then the gifts were all done through games, so that may be a bit of a difficult exploit. The main theory that people have that is this is built upon CVE 21 or 2021-30481, which is a remote code execution and a Steam invite is a source engine game. So if you send a Steam invite, there is a buffer overflow, and they were able to exploit that for an RCE, and then that was Steam didn't fix it for about 2 years until they got publicly outed for it, and then they fixed it. But did Apex fix that in that same amount of time, or is there a similar vulnerability that they're doing? That's what people believe on. And additionally, people believe that the motive behind this is a sense of hacktivism, because the timing of it and the publicity of the event kind of leads itself towards that. As I mentioned, if it was a player who wasn't streaming their POV, then they could easily have said to them, or hack that person did really well, they never noticed that they were hacking, they just had very good aim, and therefore they could then probably even side bet on it and say that player's going to get over 3 kills, stick a load of money on it, bang, they make their money back, they can do stuff that way. That would be if you're after the money. If you're after just notoriety, then you'd probably do what he has done so far. Before I went to the toilet for this talk, I noticed when I was sitting there that there was a TechCrunch article in which the hacker confirms he was doing this for fun. So the hacktivism maybe is a bit too far, but along that kind of similar line, there was no maliciousness. The reason why he attacked those 2 players was because they are good people. Again, maybe limited English. when we talk about phishing, there was some credence and some quite funny clips when it comes to it. So this was after the event. He'd just been hacked in-game, and this is what happens on stream.
Okay, I was download. What is this? Free download. Okay, I'm downloading it.
So it has a free download link. He clicks on it, downloads it. Don't worry, it was Malwarebytes he was downloading. And he clicked on, done a scan of Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes came back clean. So, not too bad. However, when he was streaming, among all the notifications about people donating to make sure they were asking questions about hacking, he missed a notification from Malwarebytes themselves. A suspicious inbound connection was detected from IP address 107.170.236.5 on port 135. Now, this again went viral after the fact. This only was caught kind of after the stream as well, never really caught on, was not able to confirm it when it happened. Before jumping to conclusions, if you look on Grey Noise, this comes from an actor called Stretchoid, who seem to be people who do internet scanning for malicious reasons. It's probably nothing that they've actually, there's not an indication that he was hacked and that was part of it. It was more that the issue is, how is internet scanning software actually accessing his computer? It's probably more of an issue if there's no NAT or firewall there. That's a bit more concerning, which is what Hugo mentions in that tweet. So that's, again, don't jump to conclusions, likely wasn't part of the exploit that happened. Additionally, when we go back to the hacking event that happened, there was another clip that surfaced after the fact. This is a bit more harder to read because it's a picture and a picture and a picture, but hopefully you can hear.
So this is Jim Burns' VOD. This is when he got hacked. Watch where his arrows go.
The team not still there? Or team breach?
I think I got it.
So he's about to shoot here with the arrow, but you'll notice because of the way Apex works, he's got 30 evil. That means if he does 30 damage, his armor gets increased to the purple. And you'll notice that he shoots here, he misses, and the arrow actually shoots up. So if you just watch this part of the screen where the compass is, you'll notice the next arrow does not go to where he thinks he killed someone, it goes somewhere else.
He's in the corner still. Hey, kill one! Here!
Fall down. His arrows flicked up towards over here, like over here. And look at my VOD. They're looking to fight me.
So on the other side of the map, E8 is playing, and Zap gets killed by an arrow shot from a bloodhound. And when he looks at the kill feed, he works that out, he's got arrow shotted twice. He's a bit kind of
You see I get double by the way.
confused.
Recap, I don't think I bring it up. Double
And you
blood
can
by
see,
John.
yeah, he was killed by a caustic with a bow and arrow twice. And this came out after the fact of the postponement, and this probably gives credence to the fact that this third game should be null and void. Because the hack was used, even though the gent quit out early, it was caught after the fact. Now that's kind of where my talk finished last night at 2 AM when lighting these slides. In the time since, there's been an update from Respawn. The press release published that it was 50 hours after the incident and it contained this. So on Sunday, Apex Legends player accounts were hacked during an ALGS event. They then go on to say that security is their highest priority. Again, the normal kind of we've been breached kind of mention. But they will say our team have deployed the first of a layered series of updates to protect our Apex Legends players, community, and create a secure experience for everyone. There's a couple of informations that can be inferred from this. They can give us clues into their handling of the incident. If it's been written that way, again, these are likely not written by the security team, they're written by the press department, so it could be a bit different. But there is some information that we can speculate on, and again, this is speculation. So, player accounts. So it wasn't the server, it's not the game, they're saying the accounts were compromised. which kind of localises where potentially the vulnerability took place and where the exploit was. Additionally, they're talking about updating over a series of updates, so maybe it was a bigger issue and they're having to now put in defence in depth into their approach. Additional update, the leak updated saying that they are working with EAM Respawn, so the tournament organisers, and remain committed to ensuring the security and competitive integrity of the tournaments. At this time, they don't expect any changes to the LAN event that's happening in LA, but they will have more information to share about the Challenger circuit, which is due to happen starting Friday, and then any regionals when they potentially reschedule that. So they've written very little in that information, just that they think that it will be fixed before the LAN event in May. So they're giving a bit of a deadline. So as of right now, Easy Anti-Cheat are confident there's not a remote code execution in their software. There is an initial press release from Respawn, but again we're kind of speculating on the details, there's not really much in there. I would imagine there will be a debrief after, I'd hope so. But there's no proof of concept from the hacker beyond just their words and what they've said, as well as the interview that potentially they've got a suite of tools that they're using, and this was them just kind of doing it for fun, as we came to see. So with that, that's all one. Here's some references to people I took the images from, the videos from. Then we'll do Harvard because that takes a long time. Sorry. And then finally, any questions? My name is on the board. If you're interested in learning more from the Apex side of things, there was a podcast last night from the players called the White Swing podcast, that's kind of touched a little bit on the hacking. They kind of didn't want to give much credence to the hacker popularity, so they kind of strayed away from it quite a bit. Pilot Software, who's on a couple of streams as well as videos now on the subject, highly recommend them. That's the offensive security expert as well. These are kind of hot off the presses. And if you're interested in looking at game hacking overall, companies such as Valve, Epic Games, Riot Games, and Rockstar North and all that do have bug bounty systems in which they do pay you out if you find bugs in their games, which is pretty cool. For example, an RCE found in CSGO a couple of years ago got £9 bounty, which is not bad. And I think Valorant, Easy Anti-Cheat, I forget the name of it, still play Valorant, but they offer £100 if you can get in their anti-cheat. So quite a lot of money. So if you want to try and earn some side money when you're working as a student, then that would be the place to go, but it is very technical. So yeah, hand over any questions.